Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you are interested in today's video. Have you ever thought that the little heart inside the mobile phone that everyone holds in their hands every day, the electric car that runs with the accelerator, and even the refrigerator at home that defrosts itself, the chip, can actually determine the lifeblood of a country? In the past few years, Chinese chips were choked by foreign countries and almost suffocated, but in 2025, China actually overtook on a curve, which shocked the West. Imagine that Xiao Li is an ordinary office worker. He recently changed to a domestic mobile phone and found that the signal was so fast that he could watch TV series without lag even in the subway. He could never have imagined that this was a Jedi counterattack of Chinese chips. To talk about the starting point of this chip counterattack, we have to start from the shock in 2019. In May of that year, the United States took a tough approach to Huawei. Once the sanctions came, the chip supply was cut off, and people saw that their mobile phones were about to become bricks. Huawei's boss Ren Zhengfei is no pushover. He said on the spot, in 5 years, China must get rid of its dependence on the United States and do it on its own. This sounded like a shot of chicken blood, igniting the flame of chip development across the country. At that time, no one thought that this spare tire plan could really turn things around. 5 years later, in 2025, China's chip self-sufficiency rate will rise from 15% to 40%. Is this data hardcore enough? I think this matter makes people sweat and a little proud. After all, who doesn't like to see the drama of turnaround? But then again, these 5 years are not in vain, and there will be more explosive things later. Do you think that Chinese chips will just follow the foreigners' buttocks? That's too much of an underestimation of China. EUV lithography machine is known as the artifact in the chip industry, but ASML is holding it tightly in its hands. China wants it. What to do? China has developed black technologies such as double exposure, quantum dot correction, and three-dimensional stacking. They sound very high-end, right? Even more amazing is yet to come. The freak of carbon-based chips has emerged. The big guys at Tsinghua University will make a single-walled carbon nanotube in the laboratory in 2023. The speed is 8 times faster than that of silicon-based chips, and the electron mobility is several streets ahead of silicon-based chips. Professor Wei Xiaojun said arrogantly, "Carbon-based is the future, silicon-based is the past." Why does this sound so exciting? I think this is not only a technological renovation, but also a big change in the chip industry. To be honest, this matter makes people feel brain-opening and a little unexpected, but reasonable. After all, who would have thought that China could go from not keeping up to leading? Speaking of the chip industry, we have to mention Zhang Rujing. 20 years ago, he started SMIC from scratch in Pudong, Shanghai. At that time, China's chip industry was like a blank sheet of paper. He brought a technical team from Taiwan and mastered the 0.18 micron process in 2004, pushing Chinese chips onto the international stage. Although he left because of a lawsuit, the seed was planted, and in 2025, the 7 nanometers flower bloomed. Isn't this the predecessors planted the trees and the descendants enjoyed the shade? I think the story of old man Zhang is quite like an invisible hero. Looking at the opponent, Nikon of Japan is not so lucky. In March 2024, they announced in Tokyo that the development of EUV lithography machines was suspended, and both funds and technology were lagging, which was incomparable to the glorious days of the past. On the other hand, in China, the localization rate of Shanghai Microelectronics' 28nm lithography machines has reached 98%, directly standing in the C position. Japanese media said sourly, China is attacking from a higher dimension. The data showed that Japan's lithography machine market share fell below 10%, but China turned the tide. Is this comparison exciting enough? What do I think of this? It feels a bit like 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West, but China can't be too proud too early. After all, there is still a long way to go. Chips sound mysterious, but when they are really put into life, the benefits are tangible. Take BYD for example. In 2022, they held back a big move at the Shenzhen Pingshan base IGBT chips, with an efficiency of up to 99.2%, and global patents are far ahead of Germany's Infineon. What's the result? The battery life of electric vehicles is rising. Xiao Zhang drove BYD to work and drove 100 kilometers more without charging. Isn't this saving money and worrying? There are also quantum chips and photonic chips. The names sound like science fiction movies, but they have quietly entered China's mobile phone signal towers. Xiao Wang is a game fan. Recently, he has been shouting, "Why is the internet so fast? There is no lag in team battles." How could he know that this is the support of Chinese chips? Experts say that the market penetration rate of these new chips will reach 20% in 2025. When you hear this number, do you feel that the future is just around the corner? I think this matter is both exciting and a little emotional. Technology is great, and the lives of Chinese people are also rising. Isn't this better than anything else? From stuck in the neck to overtaking on the curve, this leap of China's semiconductors is not only a technological turnaround, but also a boost to the lives of ordinary people. Don't just watch the excitement, pay more attention to the technological changes around you. Maybe the next time you change your mobile phone or buy a car, you will run into a cheap surprise. Although the chip is small, the dream is big. In this game, China won not only technology, but also the future.